you. Kiss me. I'm Irish.
Welcome to Film Strip. I'm Jay.
And I'm Brian.
And we're here to talk about Leprechaun 2. Are we really here to do this? Leprechaun 2, starring Warwick Davis, Siobhan Durkin, Charlie Heath, and Sandy Barron. Written by Mark Jones, Terry Meyer, and Al Septane. Directed by Rodman Flender, who most of you will know from his fabulous work on Party of Five, I'm sure. Released in 1994 on a budget of $2 million, Brian, more than double the last one. It made $2,260,000 at the box office and forced the remainder of the franchise, yes, there are more, to go straight to DVD. So, Brian, why are we talking about Leprechaun 2?
Well, Leprechaun 1 was so awesome that we gave it, what, small popcorns each?
Both small popcorns.
But
yes.
Jay, like we said in the podcast before, reading the plots of the later films, we had to revisit Our Little Green Friend because they looked so ridiculous, and we found out why when we come to this one.
Indeed we did. And I guess we should let everybody in on the bigger secret. You know, you decided to establish a tradition here for the Film Strip side of Continuous Play that every St. Paddy's Day and every Halloween we were going to do a Leprechaun film, which I guess means we'll be doing these till 2017.
Yeah, well, there are 6, I believe, in all currently. Who knows if they'll come out with more. I'm sure Warwick Davis isn't hurting for some cash. So there are 6 in all. So that would, put us, we got 2 now, 2 more next year, 2 more the year after that. That would give us the next 3 years, 2.5 years of good stuff to look forward to on Halloween and St. Paddy's Day. That's right.
Yeah, and you know, I guess as a closing bit of our Shocktober of thriller films, I mean, we opened up with the completely unknown Donkey Punch, did the 1-2 of Blair Witch and Blair Witch 2 in the middle, and now Leprechaun 2. So I don't know, we could have picked 4.
Jay, I'm sensing a theme of us doing a bunch of crappy movies.
I don't know. Is Leprechaun 2 proper hardcore with a shaky cam? I guess that's something we need to think about. But
I don't think Leprechaun 2 is proper anything.
It doesn't. Is the director trying to make some larger esoteric scholastic statement with this?
Well, I want the audience to keep this in mind as we go through this movie. If you have not seen this, listen, it took 3 people to write this garbage. 3 people to write this.
And Brian, who knows how many other people came in and did stuff here and there. I mean, really, these kind of things are notorious for that.
I think my 4-year-old could write this movie better.
Maybe so. But I guess before we get any more into it, you better give us a plot summary. So good luck with some of that.
Let's get this started, and I will let you know I wrote this beauty myself. So, the leprechaun must wait until his 1000th birthday to claim his bride, and it is that time for the evil little bastard. In order to get his girl to fall for him, he must get her to sneeze not once, not twice, but 3 times without someone saying, "God bless you." That's right. This is the premise of this, folks. 3 times without saying, "God bless you." Apparently, Leprechaun has a human slave that he tells all of this information to before showing him the beauty that he has chosen to be his bride. But unfortunately for Leprechaun, his choice is also his slave's daughter, and the slave foils his plan by saying the unspeakable words just after the 3rd sneeze. The leprechaun quickly kills and curses the family of his slave and promises that in 1,000 years he will return to claim his slave's descendant as his bride. Fast forward now to present-day Los Angeles, and the leprechaun has returned to lay claim to Bridget, who is an annoying young woman. However, Bridget already has a loser boyfriend who cons people out of money and takes them on tours of death houses. That's right. That is an actual thing that happens, folks. Leprechaun kidnaps Bridget after killing a few people and framing the loser boyfriend Cody, but loses a gold shilling in the process. And we all know what happens when the leprechaun loses a gold shilling. Mass chaos ensues. As he grosses out his new bride-to-be, he notices that this extra shilling is actually missing. And it is the exact shilling that he needs for unknown reasons. It's on, and Leprechaun goes in search of the missing gold coin. Cody's boss, mentor, guardian, or whatever the hell he is, Mort, tries to help foil Leprechaun's plans by getting him drunk and luring him into a wrought iron safe. Because apparently leprechauns don't like wrought iron.
Who knew?
I don't get it. After capturing the little green monstrosity, Mort locks Cody in a room and forces the leprechaun to give him 3 wishes. Unfortunately for Mort, that was a stupid move, and he ends up a casualty instead. Cody follows the leprechaun to his tree mansion and outsmarts him and blows him to smithereens with a wrought iron rod to the stomach. Cody rescues Bridget, and they walk off into the daylight together, and that is the movie, folks.
Wow. Wow, Brian. Wow. I mean, I thought it was bad the last time. This one is also called One Wedding and Lots of Funerals. The little take on 4 Weddings and a Funeral, the big Brit comedy at the time. When is this supposed to take place? Because it doesn't fit much with the first movie.
Well, there's conflicting ideas on when this is supposed to take place. What I had seen is that it assumes that this film takes place a few years after the events of the first film, but they actually make an error when they say this, because the leprechaun says he's only 600 years old in the first film, and this film assumes that he's now 2,000 years old before this happens. I've also read this takes place chronologically before the events of the first film, and then also that this is actually chronologically 5th in the order of the leprechaun. So who that knows when this damn thing takes place? But I would like to believe that it takes place before the events of the first film, and the reason is that in the first film he mentions a key fact of that they would be a lot more afraid of him if he had his powers back. And of course, we never learn what those powers are. But I'll tell you what, we learn a lot about his powers in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's right out of the gate with it. And I guess the only way to start is like last time, we just have to go through this. And, we open up in olden times. Simply, we know that because of the way people are dressed, because the 80s synth pop that's chasing somebody through the woods is not giving me a time frame. But, we open up in the old days, and good old Leprechaun and his slave. And that's when he does the whole gimmick, the whole setup. Now, I will say this, this movie is unbelievably stupid, but I actually thought the little gimmick about, he can choose a girl that sneezes 3 times or whatever was kind of cute. I mean, it's stupid, but it's a cute little gimmick. I kind of went with that for about 8 seconds.
Yeah, 8 seconds is about all you can go with it. My first thought is that he's got this friend. I mean, what the heck? Leprechaun's just walking around like normal, talking to this dude. It's like, what is going on here? Leprechaun isn't trying to kill this guy. No, it's his slave, and apparently they're best buds.
Well, it's because this guy tried to steal his gold, and apparently back in the old days, instead of whacking you like he did everybody else in Jennifer Aniston's town, when you tried to steal his gold, you became a slave. For a certain amount of time. So what kind of services do you think the Mr. Slave performed for?
I don't think we want to go there.
What kind of services? What kind of services do you think the slave performed for Leprechaun? Did he help him with this shoe fetish shining thing or what?
No, that's a good question. I don't think anyone can help him with the shoe shining fetish. That's just something that he's OCD about. But I don't know what he would do. Maybe he would cook him dinner, do his lunch. What's a leprechaun need a slave for? To hide his gold?
Well, and again, we'll talk about the magic of the gold in a little while, but it's not like it's laying about.
Right.
It's certainly tucked away under the magic cloak. But, okay, you mentioned it before, though, the powers that the leprechaun has. Apparently, he's got the power of, the force choke, because that's basically what he does to the dad after the dad does the whole God bless you thing to the daughter. He's got
powers beyond belief. He can throw people halfway across the air with a flick of his wrist. He got shit that shoots out his fingers. I mean, this dude's got everything. It's like, where did this come from?
Well, he had the green magic last time, so I mean we've seen that.
Well, yeah, but that was after he had gotten his gold bag and there was just a coin missing, so he had gotten his powers back. Well, now he's got all sorts of powers. You can do pretty much anything he wants. And it's like, how do you match up against this guy?
I mean, yeah, really, it's hard. It's hard to tell, and of course, it has to be the slave dad's daughter. And I got a question: who does laundry on a windy, cold night? She's out there basically like hanging the laundry.
My favorite, though, is that they're sitting there and he goes, "Wait till you see the one I picked, me lad." And the guy's like licking his lips like, "Ooh, this is a good one," right? And all of a sudden, that's my daughter. Oh my God.
And then like you and your best buddy going, "Oh man, I met this hot girl," and it's your sister or something, then it just changes everything.
Oh, it's just, yeah.
And of course it would have to be the daughter, but I kind of went with that, but I love the whole bit that like now that that's ruined, he has to wait another 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So it's the year 94 and he's got to wait till 1994. And what does he say? "I'm going to find somebody from your lineage." Really? Because I'm like, wait a minute, where's the mom? I don't see her anywhere, right? Yeah. Dad's about to get force choked to death. This girl, is she going to go and populate the earth? I mean, that is so weird. But it's even better that in the opening credits, he follows a scroll that gives her lineage. And it's like the Titanic brought the O'Days to the New World.
Hey, they at least got on the right ride. But wasn't the Titanic's main voyage when it sank? So that doesn't make any damn sense.
And maybe it's not the Titanic, but it looks an awful lot like it. So whatever, they came over in steamship, but really, there's only like 7 women in 1,000 years.
I know. Well, you never know. Obviously, it takes more men to populate the seed, right? So I can see that being a possibility. But yeah, you're right. It was kind of ridiculous. And he's making, snide comments every one you see as it goes through this thing. Yeah. But
yeah, and can I tell you this, Brian? The funny thing was for me, when I popped this movie in, on my 4-disc companion that I got to watch these things,
which I also,
I had a choice. Part 1 or 2, and I go to part 2. Like the movie skipped all of this. Like it started in 1994, and I thought, is this how this thing opens? Like I had to actually go back and rewatch this and find it because for some reason my disc is programmed to not watch any of this. And I asked myself, did I even need to know any of it?
No, totally. Yeah. Well, here's my thought: is how did. Okay, so say this takes place in 1994, and the original movie was supposed to take place in 1992, right? How does this little bastard get back from the dead?
I don't know, man. I don't understand it. Like again, I don't understand the timeline, and like you said, it probably makes more sense if we think about it
before
that this happens before.
Well, until the end, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, well, and we'll get there. We'll get
if
there.
If you think about it, yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But I got a thought on that. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, we can get there, but we're in Los Angeles, all right? And you and I both wrote down the same thing in our notes. These kids can't act at all. Charlie Heath and Siobhan Durkin, who play Cody and Bridget, which may be the worst on-screen couple ever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. When the old drunk guy, the con, is the best actor in the film, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, Sandy Barron, who looks like a reject out of a couple of Rob Zombie flicks, but it's just that old kind of washed up, half drunk con artist, slick, but has the best interest of the kid in mind.
Yeah.
He's Cody's.
We don't even know.
Mentor. No, yeah, well, yeah, I got thoughts on that in a minute too, but. The whole bit here, though, is that Cody is selling tickets on the Death Houses tour. Now, the funny thing about that, Brian, if I would just have seen this movie, I would have never bought that kind of thing exists. But having been to places like Savannah, Georgia, and Charleston, South Carolina, and have friends that live out in California and stuff, these tours exist. And most of the time, much like Mort's, they're just a big ripoff. But it's all about go see where Marilyn Monroe's head's buried, or Jimmy Hoffa's toe, or all this kind of stuff, or or go see this is where Tupac, lives for a short time or something. It's all this kind of stuff. The whole setup here is that Cody is this lovable kid, but for better or worse, he's tied to Mort, who's not really responsible. He's trying to get the business going, and he's trying to keep up with Bridget, his high maintenance would-be girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Now, my immediate thought is Bridget would never have anything to do with a guy like this.
Well, I don't know. She doesn't seem like the classiest of all people, so who knows?
I don't know. I just thought that their pairing.
Let's look at it this way. The dude that's trying to pick her up is also pretty much a loser.
Well, we'll get to Ian in a minute.
So-
We haven't got to the go-kart place yet, but the whole framing of this is that Cody is an honorable guy stuck in a dishonorable situation. You know, he's having to do the whole ripoff.
Sure. Well, he's the hustler, right? He's the one hustling the people and getting them to pay.
But okay, good point. But when Mort's too drunk to do it, Cody has to do the tour,
Right.
and he has to drag his would-be girlfriend again along with it, which is.
I do have to say, the hearse was a little touch of awesome.
Well, I mean,
Taking the tour in the hearse, and I love how they shoved the other people in the back of the hearse. Oh, it's pretty fun.
Well, the fact that Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother, is a part of that, anytime he's a part of a weird movie, I'm down for it.
I thought the dude only acted in his brother's stuff.
No, he actually gets work outside of Ron's
amazing.
stuff, but he isn't. He is always in Ron's stuff. Even back to the Andy Griffith Show days, he was a kid on that show too. But I've been on this type of tour, and the funniest thing on it is the lady with the bucket of water when they're rolling through like the ghetto. You know, and it's been the only funny thing so far besides the would-be Titanic joke.
It literally, okay, Jay, let's be honest. This was probably the only part in the movie where I actually chuckled.
Well, yeah, because it's the only good part. And you know what I noticed too, Brian? This thing looks like a TV movie. I mean, for better or worse, Leprechaun 1 looked like a movie. You know, maybe not a good one, but it was a movie. This looks like something shot for, you know, the Thursday night Fox bit when Fox didn't have any money. I mean, this looks cheap.
Yeah, they took that $2 million they spent on this movie and basically used it all for the power effects, and that's it. And those weren't great, but you don't do a whole lot on $2 million, right? Even in 1994, $2 million don't get you much.
That ain't much of anything for any kind of a movie. So I mean, again, it's a TV budget, and it just looks bad, you know. But the whole bit is that Bridget's mad because Cody was supposed to take her on a date, and instead he's drug her along on the scam, and then is going to take her on the date. Mm-hmm. And my whole thing is like, look, Bridget, working is part of life. We gotta grow up a little bit here. I immediately don't like her at all. Now, Cody, I have no feelings about it at all. I just think he can't act. But I do not like Bridget at all.
No, I think she comes off as stuck up and snotty. I didn't like her either. I was just like, really, this is going to be our heroine. I mean, let the leprechaun have her for all I care.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was if that's, I mean, you know, too, this is who he's going to go after. In some way, she's the lineage of all of this, you know, mess.
Right.
But you know, but they leave the last house, or they leave one of the last houses, which is supposed to be Harry Houdini's house, and like the people of Ireland sent him a tree. So yeah, whatever. But you know, I'm like, why not a clock and some whiskey? But, you know, sure. So the foam tree begins to move where the old homeless man puts his hand on it. And, of course, he drops his bottle of rot gut into it. And that's all it takes to resurrect the leprechaun, is to pour whiskey in a tree.
Well, I think that's all it took. I think that got the leprechaun going a little. He was playing with it, like playing with his food. Probably hadn't killed anyone in quite a while and felt the desire to take someone out. And why not an old homeless guy who's just looking for his booze? Worked.
Okay, and again, problems with the first movie's continuity, because how did the leprechaun get to America in the first way? He stowed away on old man O'Grady's suitcase, right?
Right.
So does the tree go back? I guess I have to get to that at the end. I don't know. I need to stop.
Maybe the tree has some kind of magic. I mean, that tree, when you go inside of it, it's flipping huge.
Oh, it's massive.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe there's some magical tunnel back to Ireland, since it was given to him by the Irish.
This is true. I don't know.
It's a portal. It's a portal, Jay.
That's it. I'm trying to connect too much continuity here, I guess. But
you can't. There is none.
An interesting thing happens here, though. Homeless guy has a gold tooth, which is one problem, right? But now Leprechaun has become, again, a Jedi with power over nature, and he must have the gold tooth. I thought it was just his gold.
Exactly. What happened to the 100 pieces of gold that he must have? Now it's like whatever it is. Like he rips this dude's tooth out and pulls out this gigantic cauldron of gold that he throws his thing in. It's an actual pot of gold. And it's got all sorts of crap. Gold necklaces, gold chains, gold everything. It's like,
can I say that, though, that's an upgrade over the magical bag of gold?
Hey, I like the magical bag of gold better. Although it should have been magical pot of gold.
Yeah.
Coins. But still.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. It's all of his gold bling or whatever.
And there's a ton of it.
But there's another thing that happens there, too. The whole ripping out of the tooth. This movie has already gone way beyond where the last one was. They've gone for the gore. There's blood and spit and all this stuff, and I'm going, ha. So they spent the money on the effects budget, and they decided we got to go for the gore because the kids want the gore.
Absolutely. It's all about the gore in this one. I mean, the comedy in this is so bad, Jay. The one-liners that he delivers are so horrible that the script is so bad that they had to do something to make it at least somewhat attempted to be entertaining. So they thought, let's just add some gore in here. And later on, let's add some nudity. That's all they have going for them.
Yeah, because it ain't story, that's for sure.
Heck no.
I mean, yeah. And so, of course, the tour ends finally, and Cody drives his would-be girlfriend, Bridget, to the go-kart place. Which, I'm going, are we in Karate Kid land now? We're going on that date? But they go in and they meet up with Ian, the other boy, who's apparently working there or whatever. And Cody is getting kind of blown off by Bridget or whatever. And we have this little fake out of this POV of something coming out from the corner. And it's a dog. And I'm like, this makes no sense.
Like, okay, maybe you're trying to give us the thought that this is the Leprechaun spying on him, which would make sense, right? That would make sense if the Leprechaun is spying on them. No, it just ends up being some dog. What did we care what the dog was looking at?
Yeah, it's a fake out. That's all it is, Brian. It's supposed to be a fake out so that they can try and get us excited for when the Leprechaun comes out of nowhere. But it's so badly done. And now they've created this whole love triangle to create some more dramatic tension.
Is that what it was?
In a story that hasn't done. I guess.
That was a pretty bad attempt.
Because Bridget goes with Ian, but she's going to go hang out with him for the rest of the night or whatever. Yeah. Which I thought was so lame,
It was bad, Jay, but the worst part is coming up, and we'll get to that.
All right, so Bridget and Ian apparently go on this date or whatever, and he drops her off back at the house. And,
oh, man.
And she's like, okay, goodbye. And he's like, wait a minute, can I come in? Like, he was wanting a little something for them hot dogs.
This is the best line of the night because you can't even explain it. He looks at her and says, well, I took the whole night off for you. And what about those chili dogs I bought? Because that means he's going to get laid, right? Seriously? Oh, you took the night off. You didn't take the night off. You just left. And really, 2 chili dogs? Wow, if that would make her one cheap date.
Exactly. I mean, really cheap. But now we have a cutaway in this where the Leprechaun has his little wooden stick that's like a magical floating compass that will point him to his bride-to-be. And it points in the general direction of Bridget's house from Harry Houdini's house.
Right. And he obviously knows exactly where it's pointing to, right?
Yeah, he's heading, and as he's figuring out on his way there, some guy comes up to him in the slick suit going, if you ever get an act, you need some help. It's like an agent, right? And of course, what's he wearing? A gold ring. So we got to get another gore.
Oh, yeah.
Leprechaun rips the guy's finger off and licks his finger and then gets the gold ring. And I'm like, already 2 completely useless kills, if you will, for gore's sake. And
he lays the line, finger licking good.
One of the many groaners in this whole stupid thing. But yes. And at that point, I'm realizing something though. We've spent way too much time on the humans. I don't know enough about Leprechaun because I don't want to know what's happening with Bridget and her chili dog date and all this goofiness. Of course, chili dog boy gets ready to leave, right? But he sees Bridget, I guess it is.
Well, Bridget's calling to him, saying,
yeah, like
I
in a
changed
tease.
my mind. Why don't you come in?
She's standing in the garage, okay, of this gorgeous house. By the way, Bridget lives in a nice place. And we're not explained why, but she does. Anyway, she's standing in the garage and she starts to undress herself. She takes off her top, and I'm like, wow, nudity. Didn't expect him to go there. Like, really didn't expect him to go there. But behind a stack of stuff, we see it's the Leprechaun. So, like, he's, like, able to throw apparitions now.
Exactly. What the crap is that? Since when could he make things appear out of nowhere? Or actually, what he does is he masks what the real thing is with something you want to see. That is like, when did he get this power?
And what's the real thing is a pair of, like, industrial lawnmower blades spinning.
Yeah,
but that he mistakes for her chest.
Let's talk about the chest here. I mean, that was such a bunch of crap. There's no way that was her real breasts. That looked like so bad plastic mannequin that I don't even know if I
will say this. I don't know if it's plastic mannequin. I don't think they belong to that actress.
Hell
Second.
No.
I don't think that's at all who those are. But Ian leans in to, of course, kiss these things. And, of course, he kisses the blades. Now, we don't really see it. We see it kind of from behind the lawnmower. Yeah. But his face basically gets chopped off. There's blood flying everywhere. And the Leprechaun's sort of over in the corner. And I'm going, man, this movie has just gone off the rails so hard. 30 minutes into it. And I have no idea what are we even setting up here.
Yeah. I don't know. At this point, we got Ian is now toast, right? And here comes Cody, as Mort has told him that he needs to go get her because he's got to fight for her, right? Okay, so apparently they're dating, which wasn't made exactly clear other than that they were hanging out that night. Because honestly, they never said they were going on a date. They just said they were going out together. Hanging out, and so now they're dating.
Yeah, but I just assumed it was a date.
I too, but now they're actually an item. Didn't know that. Wouldn't have expected that with the way she brushed him off and went with Ian, but hey, whatever. Mort tells him he has to go get her.
Hey, the allure of go-karts and chili dogs, Brian. Never doubt.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, how can you turn down a chili dog or two? I mean, seriously. Anyway, Mort tells him he needs to go get her, so he goes out to Bridget's house. Goes in to talk to her, shows up at her door with flowers. She's freaking out because she's seen the Leprechaun at this time and actually thinks it's the Leprechaun coming after her. And so when she sees it's him, lets him in the house and they're sitting there. But I want to know how the hell Leprechaun got in the house at that point, because all of a sudden he shows up.
Yeah, he just pops out around the corner when Cody's about to say God bless you. She's sneezing over her flowers that he brought her, and he starts strangling Cody with the telephone cord.
Oh yeah, because he's trying to make her sneeze to make her his bride, right? Right. And apparently saying God bless you with a cord doesn't work. You have to say it clear.
I don't know.
Got the whole thing out. I heard the whole thing, even though he's being strangled.
I know, it's really, really weird, but apparently not, because he disrupts him with the telephone cord bit. But of course, the Leprechaun grabs Bridget and decides he's going to disappear, but in the process, he loses one of his gold coins, which of course rolls directly into Cody's hands while he's laying on the ground. And we learned something else here too. Wrought iron apparently hurts the Leprechaun. Okay, where did that come from?
Yeah, who came up with that idea? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life.
I can find nothing anywhere. Now, they reference later on some book where this is in or whatever, but I'm going, that's bogus. They just made that up so they could have some weapon that was better than Jennifer Aniston's plaid jeans or whatever, or a lucky, or what was it, a 4-leaf clover shot out of a slingshot. They needed something else. I wish they would have gone with the 4-leaf clover bit again, because out in California, that'd be believable. It'd be hard to find.
Yeah, it would have made complete sense, and it would have given Cody and Mort something to do: search for a 4-leaf clover.
Well, I mean, an old con like Mort wouldn't have access to something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, really, that'd have been cool, but.
Yeah, the whole thing's dumb, but at least they went back and tried to explain the wrought iron thing. Right? At least they didn't just say, well, wrought iron's bad for Leprechaun. They actually went back and did a whole backstory with Mort reading this book. So that was at least good.
Well, good is a strong term there, but at any rate, the police arrive. They find Bridget missing, Ian dead, and a note from Cody, which of course leads them to find him basically. And Cody goes back to Mort and tells him what happens, and Mort is convinced he's crazy until the leprechaun breaks in the house and they get away. So how did the leprechaun find Cody? Is it just like, again, magnetic attraction to that gold coin?
It has to be. That's the only thing I can think of, is that he can sense where his gold is. It's the only thing that would make sense, because he doesn't know where Cody lives or Mort lives or any of this other stuff. How's he supposed to know?
Or maybe it's that spinning log again. I don't know. It's so, again, they're just cutting so many corners here to try to get places. And this movie already feels too big, Brian. It's like they're trying to get to so many different places. They got LA, so they want to be all over the place now. Last time everything was around that farmhouse or that excuse for a town, right? So at least we had some location. It seems like we're in a different place every 5 seconds. Yeah. And I don't have anywhere to grab onto.
It's true, because we go directly from, Bridget's place to the police. Well, not even there. We go from Bridget's place to where Mort's hanging out to get Cody away, to Mort's house. And now we're at a pub. A pub that is apparently celebrating St. Patty's Day, because that's what day it is.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of midgets dressed up as leprechauns.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like they got all the midget wrestlers from the time and put them in the movie.
It's ridiculous. They got one of the guys that was in Bad Santa and he's been in a lot of other stuff like that. It's ridiculous. And he dresses up like a leprechaun at one point and gives out chocolate gold. And I'm like, roll. Good grief. I mean, it's so obvious.
Oh, but that chocolate gold is very important later.
Oh yeah, we'll come back to that one in a minute. Yeah, but it's like like you said, like they got all the little people wrestlers for this movie, right? Of course, Mort's whole angle here is that he's trying to get the gold, right? He wants the leprechaun's gold. So his plan for that is to get the leprechaun drunk.
We have to preface this. Earlier in the movie, when Mort was getting pissed drunk while waiting for Cody to get him some hustling cons going for the death tour, the bartender had switched out his scotch or whiskey, I guess it is, his whiskey with a mixture of water and soda. Okay. And when he drank that, he just thought it was disgusting. And so now what he's done is the leprechaun comes in and he challenges him to a drink off and tells the bartender to give him the special bottle, which is the whiskey and the soda, or the water and the soda mixed together. So Mort's drinking the water and the soda while Leprechaun's drinking straight shots of whiskey this whole time. And Leprechaun can't believe that Mort's beating him in a drinking contest, because apparently, Irish people can drink really well.
No, that's the legend,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's the trope that they're playing, which is so ridiculous, right? But it's all this is going on. That's when Cody gets the little chocolate coin in the bathroom, and it appears that Mort is going to win this thing, right? Because the leprechaun gets so drunk that he can barely speak properly. He can't even use his magic right. He tries to pick up like an ashtray and he drops it, like with his magic, and he can't throw it. His force powers are all messed up. Apparently, if Vader had just got Luke hammered a couple times, everything would have been okay. But anyway.
There's one line in here that actually it shows the leprechaun's a little drunk, because he's really good at coming up with really crappy one-liners, right? So he says, "Pour all you want, pour all you can. You can't beat me because I'm a leprechaun." It's so bad.
Oh, bad. So that's bad. That's so bad. I didn't even write it down. I just tried to forget that even happened.
I've got a bunch of the one-liners in here, baby. I wrote them all down.
Oh man. Well, at least you're able to follow something here, right? Because ain't nothing else happening in this whole movie. But of course, Mort's whole bit is all he wants to do is capture the leprechaun, right? He's all trying to angle him, and trying to get away. But Leprechaun eventually hits Mort over the head with a bottle and he gets away. So now we're back on the chase scene, right? Everybody's running for their lives. And the leprechaun goes to a coffee shop to sober up. Now, he bumps into a guy that I actually like. Michael McDonald has been a longtime player on Fox's Mad TV. He's kind of their Will Ferrell. And he's been in a lot of stuff. He's a big, tall, funny guy and stuff, and he's in this. he is tasked with trying to bring a little comic relief in the middle of this movie where we need another kill. And I knew immediately he was going to get whacked, but how it was going to happen. And I had no idea it was going to be the espresso machine of death.
Of course, he's in there totally pissing the Leprechaun off all the time by making jokes about him being short. You little short on change. You know, being a total arrogant cock to a Leprechaun. Not a good idea. So Leprechaun finally says, you know what, screw you, buddy. And he, espresso machine of death, basically locks him into the espresso machine. What does he stab both of his hands?
Yeah, basically stabs his hands through like parts of the feet or something, and then he turns on all the steam, and it essentially melts the guy's face off. Really another gross kill, useless kill, just because we got to spend that effects budget.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it had no meaning at all in the whole frame of things or story of things. It was just, like I said, all the kills so far really have had no meaning other than maybe Ian, you could say, because he was hitting on Bridget. Maybe Leprechaun felt a little jealous. But otherwise, you've got the espresso kill and the homeless guy. Really no...
And the finger guy.
Yeah, there was no need for any of those deaths, right?
Yeah, well, any of those violent acts, but it's violence for violence sake. There was no need to have fake Bridget take her top off, right?
Right.
But it's nudity for nudity's sake. This movie has fallen into all the horror tropes that you get into doing these things because it's what the writers and the producers think people want to see. Well, the problem with that is, and they're not totally wrong. When you see a horror movie, people want that kind of stuff sometimes, particularly in this era of horror movies, but you got to have at least something. Yeah, there's got to be some story. Even as threadbare as some of the Friday the 13th, 6 and stuff gets, there's at least a story in the middle of some of that.
Right.
There's nothing tying this together except you got this con who's basically trying to trap the Leprechaun because, again, like we said, he's laid out all this knowledge about wrought iron will hurt the Leprechaun, and which we've already seen happen. And so they go to the go-kart track again, and they basically trap the Leprechaun in this big iron safe.
Yeah.
Is the whole bit. And I did think that was kind of smart.
Well, here's my thought on that, Jay. Is the bottom of the safe made of felt or something? Because his feet aren't burning.
I was wondering that too. Maybe he's sitting on somebody's will. I don't know. That's a good question. You would have thought he'd had to try to levitate in that thing,
which we probably could
be able to do.
He probably could. Because he's the Leprechaun.
Well, he probably could have.
He has got magical powers now.
But they don't show him doing
No,
that.
of course
You're right. It's one of those little tricks. But I thought it was okay that that's what they want. But of course, Mort's going with the whole bit. I've caught you now. Now you have to give me your pot of gold. And of course, old Mort gets exactly what he wants. He gets the pot of gold in the stomach, from the inside out.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So he catches him and locks Cody in a room, right? And then thinks that he's got it made. Leprechaun owes him 3 wishes. First wish, of course, is the pot of gold. Second wish is to get the pot of gold out of him. So he starts stretching his stomach out, and then he says, well, the only way I can do that is to get out of this thing. So the third wish is to let the Leprechaun out of the safe. Idiots.
Well, okay, 3 wishes. We got to go back to this. You mentioned this in the first movie, that's part of a Leprechaun's thing. I thought that was a genie, but is that like really part of the whole Leprechaun lore?
I'm pretty sure if you find the Leprechaun's gold at the end of a rainbow, then you get 3 wishes.
Okay, because I always thought you just got the gold or the bowl of Lucky Charms.
Well, I don't think the Leprechaun's going to get the gold. I mean, come on, this is gold.
Well, clearly not.
This
Leprechaun he tries to kill you for. Well, yeah, this is true. But I don't know. But yeah, you're right. The gross kill on old Mort though, it looks so fake too. Yeah. I mean, it was just again gross for grossness sake. But at least it's a character. But unfortunately, we've only killed off the only other interesting person in this movie.
Seriously,
so
he's the only interesting person in this movie. Everyone else could give a crap less about.
Exactly. Like, I would have bought this if Mort had maybe seen the error of his ways. Now he's just trying to help Cody and get Bridget back, and Ian would have been the one that was like, I got a Leprechaun, and that's what happened to him, and we didn't do the whole spinning blades of death.
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
That would have made sense. But again, I'm trying to help something that this is beyond repair.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, anyway, Lep goes, he gets out of there, right? And Cody, actually, he goes after Cody, but Cody has found a way to get out. I don't know how. They don't really explain. Maybe he goes up to the ceiling, whatever. But he gets out. The Leprechaun's running. All of a sudden, here comes Leprechaun in a tricked out, like massively tricked out go-kart. Where the hell did that come from?
Upgraded them wheels.
As if they've got a go-kart. As if they've got a go-kart lying around that has stakes on it and all this other crap.
Oh, no, I took that all, Brian, as he can magically make all this stuff happen now.
Magic powers.
And so, again, I go with your theory that this has got to be happening before the first movie, before he was defanged or whatever. And this is when he's got his full bore going. And we learned something else. He tries to run over Cody, but Cody's indestructible while he has that coin on his person. And like half the go-kart disappears when it runs through him. It's a bad shot. But that's part of it. And I like that. Of course, a cop shows up who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with that gun. I mean, he's blasting away. Again, did this guy teach Nathan how to shoot? Because he can't hit anything either. Maybe it's a thing with leprechauns is that you can't hit them if you try to shoot them. But
I don't know. But so you like the fact that Cody couldn't get hurt when he had the coin.
I thought it was a neat little trope. I mean, why not? You got to have some reason for him to be able to withstand all this that's coming at him, because he's inadequate on his own.
Well, okay.
I mean, he hasn't proven to be resourceful enough to do anything yet. He's too loyal. Like, he's not a thinker on his feet. That's more. Cody just is trying to do stuff and make stuff work. He's conventional. Yeah. So now he's trying to be unconventional. So I bought it. I thought it was okay.
And I don't disagree. I think it's a good idea to do. But wouldn't you think the Leprechaun would know that was the case and not keep trying to run him over?
Right? That's a weakness. Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, or maybe he didn't know Cody had it on him. Maybe he thought Mort had. I don't know.
That could be. But then once he figured it out, whatever. Either way, it's kind of weird.
Either way. Well, now we've got to get back though to where Bridget's been this whole time, and that is the tree house of horror, doom, whatever. The
seriously, Jay. I think secretly J.K. Rowling. I think she stole her idea for the tents in Harry Potter after seeing Leprechaun 2 and the massive mansion that exists inside of a tree.
Well, honestly, you can trace all this back to like Scooby-Doo, because this was always the thing in the Scooby, shows, was that it was always much bigger on the inside than it looked like on the outside, and it's ridiculous looking, but it gives them somewhere to go. We got to have a final showdown, right? And it looks like something out of the county fair. Well, because you got this skeleton over to the side, which I'm told by multiple sources is supposed to be the body of the, I guess, quadrillionth grandfather that Bridget would have had. I don't know, the old slave. Yeah, He's been carrying that around all this time.
Why not, man? It's a token of his. I don't know, but here's the thing.
I don't know. Well, earlier though, the way he found Bridget wasn't only the picture scroll, but he could smell it in her blood. So maybe I don't know. He's been keeping the DNA around. I don't know.
He's got magic powers. Maybe he has a super sense of smell.
It'd be another super thing this stupid little thing has. But
here's the thing that really gets me, right? So she's sitting right next to the entrance the whole time, right? And she knocks the leprechaun out while apparently seducing him, and then starts running deeper into the tree mansion instead of going right for the exit.
Did she know where the exit was? I got the sense that they were running in circles. She was
sitting right next to it.
I got the sense that they were running around in circles the whole time.
When her and Cody start going, they were. But when he comes back to her, she's sitting in there trapped or whatever. When he comes back, he comes in through the entrance and she's sitting right next to it.
Well, that's when she also tries to stab him with an ice pick or something too. So,
right.
Well, of course, that is after he's laid that gross, nasty lick on her face. We haven't even talked about that.
God,
that was
seriously. Ugh. I ain't even going there.
Yeah, that was just nasty, man. Because there was so much stuff they were trying to. We're not touching it. Moving on. We didn't go there and donkey punch. We ain't going there with this. So, though at this point, I'm ready for Bridget to donkey punch this little green monstrosity because I'm tired of this. So, I'm watching these people run around in circles, and I'm like, more Scooby-Doo, really,
Yeah.
And then, and immediately I know it. Cody comes out, and he's like, oh, where's Bridget? And he goes back through the circle again, and he comes out with another Bridget, and I'm like, clearly this is going to be the fake Bridget again, because she's teasing, him. She's not one who would kiss him. Bridget's a tease. This Bridget's wanting to lay it all on him.
Again. So we're supposed to believe they're dating.
Right.
No, I don't know.
Which they've never established. They've never firmly convinced me that that's happening either, Brian, but now we're supposed to buy this. But, of course, Cody is, says in a little bit, no, I knew it wasn't you. So he's just going along with it. So we find out that, of course, it's the Leprechaun, right? And the Leprechaun stabs Cody with a piece of wrought iron, which just happened to be laying around, of course. And Cody's supposedly dead, and the Leprechaun gets his coin back. But it wasn't the real coin, was it? It was the chocolate coin.
The dreaded chocolate coin from the mini fake Leprechaun in the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean that move works every time. Didn't Hogan win with that in WrestleMania 8 or something? I mean, really, it's the chocolate coin. But it's
I don't know, but I heard Sid Vicious won like that.
Ooh, ow.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah, that's another bad podcast. But Cody stabbed the Leprechaun with the iron and kablooey.
The Leprechaun explodes into smithereens. Like there ain't no piece. There's 1,000 pieces of Leprechaun lying around.
Yeah, he is everywhere. He has become a bowl of Lucky Charms at that point. I mean, he is, and all the little brown pieces too, not the good marshmallows.
And then what happens, Jay? They magically find the exit.
Oh yeah, it just appears, and now she kisses him, and she lays it on him.
Yeah, and the end comes when what happens? He looks at the coin and flips it off, saying he doesn't want to deal with it. The dude's dead, all right? So he flips the coin, and they walk. That's the end of the movie. And they walk away.
Yeah, no, I know. And she's all like, how did you know? And he's like, he kisses differently.
Yeah.
And they laugh and they walk home.
Oh.
And that's it. Credits roll. And I'm like, really? That's all of it?
I think I stared at my screen going, really? I just watched this, and I'm now going to podcast about this. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, this movie is 85 minutes. You take out the credit sequence at the end, it's probably 80 minutes. I just watched an hour and 20 minutes of what may be the most incomprehensible, inconclusive thing I've ever watched. Oh. I have no idea what the point was. And you can't tell me the point was the whole Marion bit because they've spent so little time on that. It was all about getting the coin back. And I'm like, which movie is this? Make up your minds. Is it about getting the girl or getting the gold? And it's not about both because neither are well established. It's just so badly done, man.
The writing on this movie is absolutely horrid. The acting is worse. Like,
the people in the first Leprechaun, like some of those people went on to do other things, and some of them great things. I've seen those people in other things. I've never seen anyone from this movie besides Sandy Bear and anything else.
Don't mistake Nathan for Kevin Bacon now.
No, but at least I've seen him in other movies. I've seen him on television shows. I've never seen Cody in anything else. I've never seen Siobhan Durkin.
They can't act. In fact,
Dude,
if I'm not mistaken, the girl never played in another movie again.
No, she did some TV, and now she's like a casting director, which is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Like, as you would know.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what are you looking for?
Yeah, that's a good actress. Reminds me of myself. No, we're not.
Or maybe it's, I couldn't do that, so that person is clearly more talented than me. I mean, I don't want to be ugly here, but I mean, she's terrible. Everybody in this movie is terrible. And moreover, Brian, there's no fun in this. At least in the last one, there was some fun. I didn't have any fun watching this. Did you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Leprechaun 1, not a great movie. But it's gold compared to this. It's like Oscar-winning material compared to Leprechaun 2. This movie is so bad. And like I said, there was one time in the whole movie that I even chuckled. And at least in Leprechaun 2, I chuckled, and probably for the wrong reasons, because it was really funny to watch some of the stuff they did, and it probably wasn't supposed to be. In this one, I chuckled one time, like we said, when the lady came out and threw water at the car and started cussing them out for stopping in front of her house all the time. That was funny. Other than that, I basically stared at my TV the whole time and was just like, what the hell am I watching?
Oh, I've asked myself many times, how did we get here? Like, I don't know how we got to this, but I do know this, Brian. We're at the part of the podcast where we give our final recommendations and popcorn ratings for this film. What are yours for Leprechaun 2?
Leave the popcorn in the damn bag. Don't even take it out. Leave it in the cupboard. because you're not going to need it. You're going to get 5 minutes in this movie, and because you're not watching it for a podcast, you're going to turn this crap off.
Yeah, there's no need. I mean, I want to say this. This is by far the worst conceived movie we've reviewed on Filmstrip. It's twice as bad as Batman and Robin. It's twice as dumb as Ghostbusters 2. And it's twice as boring as The Last Leprechaun. And no fun at all. Small, wasted bag of popcorn. Yeah. I actually will say this. I'm looking forward to St. Patrick's Day in 2012 so we can do Leprechaun 3, so I can see, can this series redeem itself at all? Because this is the last one to go in wide theatrical release, and I see why.
Oh, yeah.
If they'd have put this out, I mean, good grief. It wasn't even fun. No. It wasn't funny, and it wasn't fun. It didn't achieve anything on any level. Complete failure. Leprechaun 2, bad.
This isn't even a movie where you could get totally hammered and enjoy.
No, I would say you need to be hit with a hammer if you watch this for any other reason than what we've done, because academic purposes only, I guess, because wow.
I will remind our audience that even though Leprechaun 1 was bad, we recommended that you actually go and see it for fun laughs. I completely and utterly tell you now, do not bother seeing this movie.
You don't need it. And from what I've read ahead on the future plot summaries, you don't need to know anything from this. So I don't know that they hang on to any of this. So,
well, then they shouldn't. I mean, they didn't hang into anything from the first one.
Yeah,
so.
Except that he had gold coin and was a leprechaun that had bad puns. That was really it. So other than that, this is a complete waste of time. But you know what, Brian? This podcast hasn't been. This has been a lot of fun to at least talk through this bad piece of trash one time and wind up our 4 thriller films for Shocktober here on Filmstrip from Continuous Play. Got a lot of fun stuff planned for the future, folks. Going to be doing some more of our general discussion podcast sessions in the future. Got a few other films in the works too, besides the Leprechaun franchise that we've promised to visit twice a year. Some other stuff coming up again. You can find all of our archives of our podcasts on our website, continuousplaypodcast.com. Click the Filmstrip logo there, and you can go and see or go and listen, download all of our other podcasts. You can connect to our social media there, Facebook and Twitter. Follow us there. Leave us a message. Let us know what you think. Leave us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. Let us know what you think of the podcast. You can also check out our sister podcast, The Art of Slaying, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer retrospective. Brian, you and I have reviewed every episode in the first 3 seasons of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, along with a couple of fun extras in there for folks, so people can check that out over at the Art of Slaying side of continuousplaypodcast.com. So lots of fun stuff in the future. We've enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for joining us for these 4 films that we've done here as a part of our October. Until next time, for Brian, I'm Jay. Thanks for tuning into Filmstrip.
Thanks for listening to Filmstrip. Visit our website, continuousplaypodcast.com, for more reviews and episodes. All content used or discussed in this podcast are the property of their respective owners and used under the Fair Use Act, Section 504c2, Title 17.